Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Dr. Glenn is a clinical psychologist and former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leaving the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Before we get started, if you haven't downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Here with a kind-hearted woman named Katie, who has agreed to let us record this session so you can benefit from her experience and strength and wisdom and hope, as well as her stumbles and falls and trials and tribulations. How are you, Katie?
I'm great, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about what your life was like, and then how can I help you?
Where to begin, really? As a child, I was always slightly overweight. That was kind of a recurring theme throughout, but always had this kind of focus on weight loss, weight gain, maintaining weight, seeing foods in a specific way, and just really struggling with being able to restrict foods that are seen as bad and weren't good for me, and trying to keep a hold on my eating, basically. As time's gone on, about 10 years ago now, I'm 28 now, I lost a ton of weight and I started to learn some really great practices to get more fit and be more savvy when it comes to food. But the one thing that's always just kind of stayed recurring in the background is just this problem of binge eating. And while I've seen myself make tons of progress in the fact that I no longer have huge, great binges, for example, I'm still getting really caught up on the small things. And I think, as I say, I'm still getting caught up a little bit. I think for me, I could never understand why I would have these binges and do things that were so out of line with the goals that I have for myself. And I'm just hoping to build on that.
Terrific. You mentioned a couple of times having a problem with seeing foods in certain ways. The classic seeing certain foods as bad and other foods as good.
Growing up, I had a mother who was very into the trendy diets of the time, very much saw carbs as a bad thing. I was brought up to kind of see that food group just as pretty much a no-go. And I guess a lot of the work that I'm trying to do now is obviously see all foods as okay in moderation, but also know that some foods just don't work for me. They don't serve me, and they have to kind of go in that never category. So It's a challenge because you get a lot of conflicting ideas.
Sure do. You sure do.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of sift through them. I guess one thing that I'm trying to do a lot more in my personal life is not focus on being such a perfectionist all the time. But equally, there are some foods that just really have to be off limits at all times.
Not for everyone. There's an energy of perfectionism that the psychology of winners dictates should be harnessed and not avoided. So I always talk about an Olympic archer aiming at the bullseye. They don't say, maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't. They really see the arrow going into the bullseye before they let go of it. The bullseye is very well painted. It's not a fuzzy target. They know where the boundaries are. They know whether they hit it or they missed it. And the reason that's important is that by using the energy of perfectionism to paint that target and to aim with perfection, they get very important feedback about not only whether they hit the target, but by how much did they miss if they did miss, in what direction. And in turn, that tells them what kind of an adjustment to make so they're more likely to hit it in the future. But when they miss the target, they don't say, oh my God, I'm a pathetic archer. I might as well just shoot all the rest of the arrows into the air, right? At that point, they let go of the energy of perfectionism. At that point, they say, well, progress, not perfection. What did I do wrong? How can I aim better? Then they get up and they commit with perfection again. It's a subtle distinction. We're using the energy of perfectionism in our favor, whereas our lizard brain uses it the exact opposite way. The lizard brain says, if you're not perfect, then you're nothing. If you miss the target, then you obviously shouldn't even bother. Just forget about it, stop aiming and give up. Yippee, let's go get some food. And when you're aiming, it says, don't bother aiming for a target with perfection. It's wrong to have good versus bad foods. It's wrong to have a very clearly defined bullseye. Just do the best you can, which only means you're going to try for a little while until you don't feel like it anymore. So what you're doing is reversing the way that you use the energy of perfectionism. You're not abandoning perfectionism. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay. Have you thought through what some simple rules might be for yourself that you'd like to follow?
I have, yes. I'm kind of working with an online personal trainer and have been for some time now. I'm working towards my wedding in a year's time. And so I've got kind of quite clearly defined goals in terms of calories and macronutrients based on my work with that person. But I also just have some more kind of granular rules in line with other students of yours. So, for example, always drinking 3 liters of water a day, or trying to meet a minimum of 20 grams of fiber a day, eating enough protein, that kind of thing.
Let's go over them all very specifically. 20 grams of
Okay.
fiber, 3 liters of water.
Yeah.
What other rules are you trying to follow?
I'm trying to follow 150 grams of protein a day,
Is that a max or a min?
minimum. And then a calorie target of 2,000. I've created quite an elaborate food plan, but if I could really just hit those things, the rest would kind of fall into place, really. And not necessarily a food rule, but I like to try and get absolutely 10,000 steps a day. So again, if I could hit those 4 things, I would be happy, but I just get caught up.
Okay, we'll talk about what gets you caught up in a little bit, I promise. Guideline of 10,000 steps per day is not a food rule. We talk about guidelines versus rules, and we're very clear about the difference. So
Mhm.
guideline is something you try to do and you aim for, but you don't really take quite as seriously if you make a mistake. And rules are something you do. If you make a mistake, then you take that as a serious event and you do a bunch of work to figure out what happened and how you're going to aim better next time. Okay, let me just go through this again. I want you to take a breath, okay?
Mhm.
So if you always said 3 liters of water per day and 20 grams of fiber and a minimum 150 grams of protein, and you never had more than 2,000 calories per day, would that move you in the direction that you want to move? Do you feel like in 1 year's time, you'd be ready for the wedding, you'd hit the goals that you wanted to hit?
I would.
Does it feel too restrictive to you in any way?
No.
Would you be starving? Would you be able to get enough nutrition?
Yes.
Is there any way that your lizard brain could get you in trouble? If you always followed these rules, I know it probably says you're going to get tripped up, but if you
Mhm.
always followed these rules with a guideline of 10,000 steps per day, if you always did that,
It shouldn't catch me out.
just take a breath and let me know. I want you to be really confident in this.
Yeah, these should all be really achievable things.
Okay. So let's just talk about what it's going to be like in 1 year's time if you follow these rules 100%. Will that be right around your wedding day? When is your wedding day?
It's the 20th of August.
Okay. I want you to visualize yourself on your wedding day and you followed these perfectly. What do you see? What's different than today? How do you feel? What does it look like? What's different in your body? What's different in your mindset? Tell me all about it.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is confidence. I see a really strong posture and being able to hold my head up high. I see myself smiling. I see myself being relaxed. I see myself kind of glowing and just ready for the biggest day of my life, I guess.
What's different physically?
I'm slimmer than I am now, probably about a stone slimmer.
14 pounds.
14 pounds, yeah. It's not a huge difference, but I would look more toned, slightly more athletic, I think. I think more than that, it's less about the aesthetics. It's more just about feeling comfortable in my own skin and the payoff of that, like I say, the smile, the posture change, etc.
Any difference in your energy level?
Yeah, I would imagine I'd be full of energy and raring to go.
Any difference in the wedding dress that you would pick?
Yeah, I actually have my dress already and I've seen myself in it now. And if I were to look how I look wearing it now compared to how I could look, I'd be really disappointed. And yeah, my waist would ideally be smaller and I would prefer to have slimmer arms. I think it would just make me feel so much more comfortable around photos and not dread that aspect of the wedding like I do at the moment.
So you'd have a smaller waist and slimmer arms, and you'd run up to the photographer with pride.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, this part's a little uncomfortable, but I'd like you to answer anyway if it's okay. What happens if you let the lizard brain win? What if you break these rules and you don't bother with them and just kind of go for the year? You let the lizard brain win? What happens?
Well, not much changes, and I stay the same as I am now, I guess, or even end up heavier or looking even less how I want to. The impact that would have on my wedding day is that I would be very uncomfortable with the photographer being around. I'd feel super self-conscious of everybody looking at me, and I would just be completely worried about my appearance all day long versus enjoying myself and being present in the moment.
Okay. Now, can we talk to your lizard brain a little bit?
Sure.
I'd like to know from your lizard brain all of the reasons that it says you won't be able to do this, you can't do it, you're going to trip up, and you're going to have that uncomfortable experience on the winning day as opposed to the proud, present, bring the cameras at me experience that you want to have.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest one is it's saying work is going to be really stressful between then and now, as it always is. And as soon as the next stressful period comes up, you're just going to mess it all up and turn to food to kind of help alleviate that stress. And every rule is just going to go out the window, basically.
Work's going to be stressful, like it always is, and you're going to turn to food and throw all the rules out the window to alleviate the stress. So you might as well not even bother, right? Is that what it's saying?
Mm-hmm.
Why else?
You can't commit to this. You always give up, so you're going to give up again. Basically, I'm just going to get you regardless. It's kind of a rebel, my pig, I would say. Here's a rule and just is out to defy it, regardless of what it is. He doesn't like being told what to do.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to separate that into two rules. You can't commit and you always give up like you always will. So I'm going to get you sooner or later. I always do. Therefore, you might as well binge now.
Yeah.
And the second one, you hate people telling you what to do. You are a rebel who can't follow rules. So don't bother. Okay. What else?
You've always struggled with this. You're always going to. It's not something you can change.
You always struggle with this and you always will. It's part of who you are and you can't change. Therefore, you should give up and binge now, right?
Yeah.
What else?
He's also pretty good at complimenting the good that I've done in the day and tell me it's okay to just do a small kind of going over of my rules. So for example, if we talk about the 2000 calorie goal, he'll say, oh, well, you've done so well all day. It doesn't matter if you go over by 100 or 200 calories. That's the big thing that gets me most days.
You've been so good today. You can afford to break the rules by a little bit.
Yes.
Come on, go ahead. Let's do it. What else?
That the food's going to make me feel better or is going to bring me comfort and be my friend, basically, in a situation or an emotion I find difficult.
When you feel emotionally unstable, food's going to be comforting.
Yeah.
What else?
They're kind of all the ones that I can.
Good. That's what I'm looking for. Good. So let's go over these. Have you heard me do this before?
Yes.
Okay. So, we're looking for how is the pig winning with a half truth and a bigger lie?
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for the lies. Okay.
Yeah.
So your pig says that work is extremely stressful, like it always is, and you're going to need food to alleviate the stress. So you might as well just not even bother, give up and binge now. Where's the lie there?
I can't tell the future, but even if I could and work is going to be stressful, food isn't the answer to solving that. It only ends up making me more stressed when I don't meet the goals that I've set for myself.
Because if you have 6 problems and then you binge, then you have 7 problems, right?
Exactly.
And have you had the experience that when you don't binge, that your problem solving capacity remains higher? And so you eventually feel less stressed sooner than you thought you would feel less stressed?
I think so, yeah. It's very rare that I don't binge, so it's hard to say, but I know that the days where I've had a stressful day and I manage not to binge, I feel more satisfied and less stressed by the end of it than if I had have done.
Is it possible that binging is creating stress, whereas
Yes.
the lizard brain says it's relieving it? And do you know that the physiological components of stress, like heightened blood pressure and perspiration and respiration and galvanic skin response, they can be reinforced by binge food? Did you know that?
No.
So if you take an animal that's feeling stressed and you give it a sugar treat and you keep measuring their stress by their physical response, and you give it a sugar treat whenever that animal is feeling stressed, whenever the physiological responses go up, that animal learns to produce those physiological responses more. It's called operant conditioning. So people think that food relieves stress. What food does is distract you from the stress, but it simultaneously teaches your body to produce more stress. It's kind of sobering when you think about it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Your lizard brain says you can't commit because you always give up, and I'll eventually get you like I always do. Therefore, you should just give up and binge down. What's the problem with that?
All I ever have is now, and I just need to not do something in the moment versus worrying about what has happened in the past. And my pig can't see into the future. It doesn't know what I'm going to do. Only I control what I do.
You can only ever use the present moment to be healthy.
Yeah.
So you're going to flex your now muscle and make your now muscle stronger. And in the future, your now muscle will be stronger than it ever was. And it will be now in the future also when we get to the future.
Mm-hmm.
What the pig is really saying is your now muscle wasn't strong enough. So the answer is to make your now muscle stronger and just use the present moment to be healthy.
Yeah.
Well, you really hate people telling you what to do. You're a rebel at heart who can't follow the rules. So don't bother with these rules. Just give up and binge now.
I don't know how to get this one. I don't know how to overcome that because I find it really difficult to imagine that there's a part of myself or part of my brain that wants to contradict the other so much just for the sake of it, almost.
Who's telling you what to do? Am I telling you what to do?
No, I guess it's me telling me what to do.
Nobody's telling you what to do. Just you. If you wanted to change these rules, could you change these rules?
Yeah.
Could you sit down and think about it and write down which rule you want to change and give it some serious consideration and write down exactly why you wanted to change it and then wait 48 hours for the change to take effect so you know it wasn't impulsive and you knew it wasn't the lizard brain, that it was really you who wanted to change it, and you could change those rules then, right?
Yeah.
So are you boxed in?
No.
Is there anything to rebel against?
No.
Does it matter that you're a rebel and that you don't like to follow anybody else's rules in this situation?
No.
There are nobody else's rules to follow, and you can change anything you want to.
Yeah.
This is the personality squeal. You've always struggled with this in the past, and you always will. It's part of who you are at your core, so therefore you can't change.
Yeah.
Might as well give up and binge. What do you think about that?
I think that in reality, I can be whoever I want to be, and my struggles previously don't have to keep going on. It's up to me whether I decide to continue them or choose a different way.
I always think of a little kid learning how to walk. They fall down repeatedly. And when we ever look at them and say, you fell down so many times, you might as well just stay on the floor and crawl the rest of your life.
No, you wouldn't.
The nature of human learning is trial and error. The nature of human learning is that we fall down until we don't fall down anymore, until we can stay up. Some things take longer than others because there are reinforcements and patterns and forces that we don't totally understand, which we're exposing now. Is there anything that you've taken a longer time to learn than other things, but eventually discovered how to do it?
Like I mentioned before, learning to work out and feel confident in doing that and seeing the benefit of that. You could argue that took me a lot longer than other people. I didn't really recognize how to get fit until I was 18, 19, 20. But I kept going and I kept getting better and I'm progressing all the time. So
really good experience for you to remember. You've been so good today so far. It's okay to break the rules a little bit and binge. Yippee, let's go do it.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Where's the lie in there?
Well, the lie is that it doesn't matter how big or small the straying from my plan, it's still taking me away from my goals. And hitting my goals or being good throughout the day, rewarding myself, it's not a reward to then go beyond the goals that I've set for myself.
Yeah, that's true.
That puts me backwards.
Katie, there's one more thing that's really important. Following your plan or not is the difference between eating in an impulsive, emotional way or eating by design. There's nothing you can't have if you really want it tomorrow, right? You can change your rules. We talked about how to do that. Nobody's telling you you can or can't have this. These are your goals. What happens when you eat on impulse is that the lizard brain wins and it becomes the master and you become the slave. It doesn't matter if it's a piece of broccoli or a 5,000 calorie binge. If you signal to the lizard brain that it's the master, it's a different way of life and it breaks your spirit. It's the difference between confidently knowing that you're moving towards the wedding with grace and equanimity and that you're going to be able to run up to the photographer and say, come on, bring it on. Let's do it. I look great. Versus not being quite sure, not knowing when the lizard brain is going to take over and become your master. That's the difference. It's the difference in spirit. It's the difference in confidence. It's the difference in pride. Because if you follow your plan, even if the plan is not getting you to the goal right away, you know that you have the ability to design the plan differently and accomplish whatever you want to accomplish within reason. You can't become a breatharian and lose 30 pounds this month. But within reason, you can accomplish whatever you want to because you've become the master. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
The mantra I like for this is that one bite is a tragedy. Not because one bite is always going to lead to a 20,000 calorie binge, because one bite means laying down for the lizard brain and becoming its slave. That's why one bite is a tragedy.
Definitely.
The lizard brain says food will bring you comfort that you've always found when you felt emotionally unstable, and these emotions are going to be too difficult to handle without food. Therefore, you shouldn't bother. Let's binge now. What's the problem with that?
The problem with that is overeating and not following my plan is the single biggest thing in my life, which makes me miserable. And so it's completely false to say that it helps or comforts me in any way. It brings me great distress to continually find myself at the bottom of the cereal box, the crisp packet, the whatever it is. So to say that that behavior to help with any kind of emotional problem is helpful is completely a lie.
Because overeating is the bane of your existence. The lizard brain is the biggest enemy you've ever encountered.
Yeah.
Overeating is the bane of your existence, and taking control is probably the best path to happiness you'll ever find.
Yeah.
Recognizing you can conquer your worst enemy will make you feel like you could do anything.
Yeah.
It's a great way to start a life. Doesn't matter if you're getting married in a year or not. It's a great way to start a life, but it's a particularly good way to start a marriage.
For sure.
Well, how confident are you that you're always going to have 3 liters of water per day, a minimum of 20 grams of fiber and 150 grams of protein, and no more than 2,000 calories a day? How confident are you that you're going to follow those rules to the letter?
I feel pretty confident, but there's still part of me that, I guess the pig that's saying, yeah, this is all well and good, but just wait until I catch you off guard. When you don't have this conversation with Glenn at the top of your mind and you're in the middle of something difficult at work or whatever it is, and you don't remember all of the reasons why this is crazy.
So help me refute that.
Okay.
Where's the lie in that? This is all well and good, but eventually you're not going to have Glenn to hold your hand or all of these reasons at the ready, and I'll get you then.
Well, the lie is that I'm in control of my own life and I control what I do, and I'm able to make the decision to not binge. So that's all I have to do is not binge.
You can flex the now muscle. It doesn't matter that eventually you're going to be off guard, because right now you're aware, and that's all you need to do. It'll be now later on again. Just like with any habit, you can install some steps into your life to reinforce it and make it more present. We do have what we call the consciously and purposely clause, which says that if you accidentally find yourself having something you're not supposed to have, or you go over by 5 calories and you didn't realize, that's not the same as consciously and purposely breaking your plan. Now, the moment you realize, if you then take another bite, that's consciously and purposely breaking your plan. But we assume every rule is preceded by the words consciously and purposely. That's the best you can do in this life, is be conscious and purposeful. Then you can read your food rules every day.
Yeah.
You can listen to this recording and formulate your rationale into a paragraph or two, which we call the big why. Mostly you want to be confident and slim and proud and present for your wedding so that you can run up to the photographer and say, let's have at it. But I think you want that for your life, not just for your wedding.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So you can put that together into a paragraph. You could record it into an MP3 or your smartphone and play it every day. It takes about 30 seconds. You can read it again before you go to bed at night. These things take about 30 seconds. They become part of your routine. It's kind of silly to think you're going to forget. It's almost like if your fiance said, I'm pretty sure that I can promise to never sleep with another woman again, but there sure are a lot of attractive people out there, and what if I forget? What if I'm not on guard? I don't remember the reasons at the moment. It's not really a vow. A vow is something you take seriously, and for the rest of your life, you are on guard enough that you direct your impulses towards your partner. It's not that you won't have impulses, but you direct them towards your partner because that's what you're vowing to do. Does this make sense?
It does. I guess the one thing I would say to that, though, you've got kind of an outlet to move that impulse to. I guess where I get stuck is, or the pig saying in my head now, but where's the other outlet, right? Yes, you're going to have this impulse to binge, but where are you going to take that if not the food?
You help me answer that.
Okay.
Well, it's a very good point. In the example at hand, there's an authentic need. We all have those needs for physical connection and intimacy, and those need to be satisfied someplace, and you've got the outlet with your partner. What's the authentic need that won't be satisfied here?
The desire to binge or eat junk food outside of my plan isn't really an authentic need. It's a desire for comfort, and there's different ways to seek comfort, like spending time with a partner or petting your dog or taking a breather. I guess that's the outlet instead.
You want to train yourself to do that, and that's definitely the first best thing to do. Do you need a safety valve of some sort? Do you need to be able to have 3,000 calories once a month?
If I had one day where I said, look, I can have 2,500 calories in the month, then I know I've got that as a kind of backup. Maybe that would help.
And you said 2,500 as opposed to 3,000. So
Yeah.
I will never have more than 2,000 calories per
Yeah.
day, except one calendar day per calendar month. So we'll make that adjustment. That adjustment made, how confident are you that you're never going to break these rules again?
I think 95%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me about that 5% of insecurity.
I don't know.
Just an underlying angst, like an
Yeah.
existential,
Yeah,
oh my God, I've done this before. And
I think
and
so.
these patterns are there. You can't technically get rid of those underlying neurological patterns. What you can do is lay new ones over them.
Okay.
And over the course of the next 66 days or so, that underlying anxiety is going to fade. But there are no words for it. It's like an angst. So we call this last step a leap of faith. What it means is that we can't cut this part of our brain out. We can't cut those memories out of our brain. We know that we have the capability of doing that, but we can cut it out of our identity because we're allowed to decide which thoughts we have are constructive that we want to identify with and nurture, and which thoughts are destructive that we want to dissociate from and let go of and let die. And so what we say is we claim ownership of certainty. It's a leap of faith. It's not a feeling, it's a leap of faith. We claim it and we say we're 100% confident that we'll never binge again, even if the lizard brain has other ideas. You see what we're doing there? It's a conscious and purposeful definition of your identity going forward. And then every time you have that anxiety, you say, okay, my lizard brain is active. That's just some lizard brain activity. What might it be saying? How is it going to try to get me to binge? Because I'm 100% confident that I never will, even though my lizard brain has other ideas.
Yeah.
How confident are you that you're never going to break these rules again?
I want to say 100%. If I can do that and just, like you say, not ignore the fact of what's been and gone, but just keep in mind my big why, keep in mind the rationale, and just notice the lizard brain, but don't let it control me. I think I can do it.
Do you think you can or you know you can?
I know I can.
Do you?
I do.
You don't have to say it to please me. I really want you to understand this.
I do. It's that 5% that's still getting me. But like you say, I have to take that leap of faith and just know that there is always going to be that niggle at the back of my mind that makes me question whether I can do it. But all I have to do is just say no to those impulses in the moment. And that's really all there is to it.
My lizard brain really, really wants to binge. It just really, really wants to. So how confident are you that you're never going to break these rules again?
I'm confident that I'm never going to break these rules again.
How confident?
100%.
Are you?
I am.
The lizard brain doesn't want to let you say it.
It doesn't, no, but it's okay. It's an ongoing dialogue between us, but I just need to remember and recognize that it's not my identity. It's the pig isn't me.
There you go. The reason I keep asking is just to be sure there aren't any other words that we haven't covered. Are there any other squeals that are rationales for breaking the rules that we haven't covered?
I guess I do have one other. The one thing that does catch me out a little bit is drinking. So if I have a night where I maybe have one too many drinks, then I get that kind of, oh, well, you've messed it up now, or, oh, you've drank alcohol, or you've drank too much alcohol, and now you've got a hangover. You couldn't possibly kind of stick to your plan on a hangover or when you're feeling tired or whatever from the night before. That one's still outstanding.
How many drinks are too many drinks?
Maybe more than 3.
If you've had 3 drinks, can you stick to your plan?
Probably, if I'm honest, no. I think 2 drinks I could.
That's what I hear from almost every woman. I hear 3 drinks from men and 2 drinks from women.
Okay.
Would you like to create a rule that says you won't have more than 2 drinks again?
I would. Yeah. I struggle to think that I can do that. I think it's more, I never have more than 2 drinks unless it's a special occasion. But then I guess I need to define what a special occasion is.
What's a special occasion?
I guess a birthday celebration or the holidays, basically.
So if you have more than 2 drinks on birthdays and holidays, do you also need to be able to have 2,500 calories on birthdays and holidays?
It's difficult because for friends' birthdays, I would say yes, but for my own, no. If you do it for everybody's birthday, right, that's a lot of days during the year. So here's the rule that I think will work is only 2 times per calendar month do I drink. And on each of those occasions, I only have 2 drinks, except for my own birthday or Christmas.
I will never drink alcohol again, except for twice per calendar month. And then, unless it's my birthday or Christmas, I will never have more than 2 drinks. Just take a breath and tell me if that's okay.
It's okay. It feels uncomfortable because it feels so far away from what I'm doing currently, but I know it's the change that I need to feel happy and confident and feel that I can stick to my plan.
Do you need extra calories on the days that you drink?
Not if I stick to the 2-drink rule. Birthday and Christmas, I think there's no calorie goal there.
Okay, so let's alter the calorie goal. We have the no alcohol goal, and the calorie goal is 2,000 calories per day, except for once per calendar month when I may have 2,500 calories, and on my birthday and Christmas when the sky is the limit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And are you someone who'll have 20,000 calories on your birthday and feel like you ruined everything?
No.
Okay. I was. I was. So that's why I asked. Katie, how confident are you that you're never going to break these rules again?
I think the alcohol one does get me, as I say, just simply because it's a big leap from where I'm at the moment. I feel peer pressure quite a lot, I guess, with my friends to drink more. And also when I have a glass of wine or whatever it is, it feels good and it kind of makes me want to party and makes me want to have more. But again, I just have to remember my why and why I've made these rules for myself. And
is twice per calendar month enough? Would 3 times be better?
Drinking twice a month is more than enough. It's more that I'm worried on one of those occasions I would drink more than 2 glasses. For example, like if I had a gig or a concert or something to go to, like I think it would be really difficult to bear in mind just only having 2 drinks.
You told me that you can't follow the rules when you have more than 2 drinks.
I think I've got it. Once every 3 months, I can have a night drinking where I can have more than 2 drinks. That feels like I can stick to that.
It sounds like on your birthday, Christmas, and 4 times a year, the calorie limits and the drinking limits are off the table.
Definitely, yeah. Because if I think about it, it's only every 3 months max that I have something so special like a fun concert or whatever it is that would warrant potentially drinking more. I feel I shouldn't be drinking more than that every weekend and seeing everything as a special occasion. So yeah, I think with that rule, that feels like I could stick to that really easily.
So I will never drink more than twice per calendar month, no more than 2 drinks per day, except for my birthday, Christmas, and 4 special days of my choosing. Maybe you write it down a day beforehand when the sky is the limit on drinks and calories.
Yeah.
Okay. How confident are you they're never going to break these rules again?
Yeah, good. I feel really confident, 100%.
Okay. Do you have any questions or concerns?
I don't think so.
Very good.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Go get it, and good luck with the wedding and the marriage and all that.
Thank you so much, Glenn. I really, really appreciate it.
Okay, be well.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. If you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.